Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. Gonna have a little chat with you guys here this morning over my morning coffee and talk about some little prep things here, just some little tips, some little things that I've had people ask questions on and stuff, and share that with you guys here. I'm going to be basically a visiting chat, and I remember when visiting was a thing when I was a kid growing up. People would go over to neighbors, have coffee, talk about farming, talk about the winter, talk about what was going on. And that constant interaction with friends and neighbors built really tight-knit communities. And that's something that's went away with all the modern technology and stuff that we have now, social media and whatnot, that going out and having coffee with the neighbors or talking over the fence to your neighbors and find out what's going on both locally and around the world and how things are affecting people. That is something that is just doesn't exist anymore. Very, very sparse if it does exist. And so I thought I'd have a chat with you guys, kind of bring that up and talk a little bit about prepping in general. The hurricanes again have basically proved that the supply chain is Achilles heel of the West, and we need to build redundancy in our lives to make up for the deficiencies in this modern worldwide supply chain, because we can't just figure out how to make stuff ourselves. We have to bring it in. And, go over a few things. Lumber is definitely going up. I had a couple of people comment on a couple of my other videos, said that there were tariffs on Canadian lumber coming in here. That's making the situation worse, going to cause prices to go up even more. I didn't even know that. That is things that I pick up from, my community here on YouTube, because you know what? I'm a perpetual student. I am constantly learning, both here locally and online, from stuff that I read, firsthand accounts, because you can never have too much knowledge in bad situations. But lumber is definitely going to be an issue going forward, probably all of next year, from what I'm seeing, and that's barring any other major catastrophe that happens. Everybody here locally is keenly aware of the election and the potential problems that can come along with that. There are multiple places around here that are having battles with rival political signs across the road and across the streets. Those are particular areas that I've been keeping an eye on, because if anything pops off around here locally, I think it's going to be there. But we have a pretty tight-knit community here, and we have some fairly decent community leadership. And know your first responders. If you have the opportunity to know somebody that's on the ambulance or on the volunteer firefighters or your local police, get to know those people. We're in a small town here. I don't want to say it's Mayberry, because we've had our issues too over the years, but on a day off, I can drive up to the local police department, knock on the door, walk in, have a coffee with them, find out what's going on. That's one of the benefits of small town America, and one of the reasons why I think smaller communities do have a certain amount of resiliency built into them, and that is not by accident. It is about that constant interaction between people. A lot of prepping channels will talk about going out and forming a community and stuff like that. But if you live in a small town and you've been there for a period of time, you're kind of already integrated into that community, and whether we like it or not, your neighbors are going to be your group in SHTF. And that's something that I don't think gets talked about enough. I know I've mentioned that before. The people that are in your close geographical area, whether you like them or not, are more likely than not going to be your group. So, it pays to be a diplomat. People got a tendency nowadays to be hard asses about everything, but, being a good neighbor, constantly interacting with your environment, which means people around you, is beneficial. Talking a little bit of some of the things here that the old timers did. Matches was a kind of a big thing when I was a kid. All the older women always carried a small box or a a pocketbook of matches in their apron, and I did a video on that with Grandma's EDC back in the day. I'll put a link in the description for that video if you guys never seen it, but that was one thing that I can always remember. See, most of the old farmhouses around here had, they had their potbelly stove, for heat, like in the living room, whatever. But then they also had a cook stove, and the cook stove was wood fired. It was their oven. It was their hot water. They had a tank of hot water usually on those cook stoves, so they could just open up the back and they could ladle out hot water, whatever they needed it for. It was their oven. It was their cooktop. And they had a shelf that went along the top of that, and the tops of those shelves typically always would have the matches on. But to protect those matches, they would typically always put them in some type of glass jar. There was usually a mason jar or one of the jars that had this kind of top on it, and this would sit on the top of the wood stove or the wood cook stove on that shelf. And it was typically, strike anywhere matches, blue tip back in the day, but these are the ones that you can get nowadays. These have become extremely hard to find. There are several local hardware stores around here that still carry these, and I believe that the Amish have these in their grocery store as well, if I remember correctly. But these strike anywhere matches have become kind of hard to come by, and a box of these is well over $5-6. And heck, I can remember when they were like they were like 99 cents back in the day. But if you have strike anywhere matches, you might want to keep them in something like that to keep them protected so nothing can get into them. They're protected against moisture, sparks, whatever, because of course you need matches where there's fire, so you don't want a spark to come out of your wood stove, land on your match and burn your house down. So keeping them in glass like that is a good idea. Another thing that I wanted to mention was about fuel. Propane has become kind of the talk of the town here lately since them hurricanes. They're needing a lot of propane. I've heard where they've diverted a lot of propane down there to help out with the restoration efforts and help people stay warm, cook, that kind of stuff. Propane is a good portable fuel, and most places that sell propane, they will definitely top off tanks for you. So if you have 100-pounders, 30-pounders, 40-pounders, 20-pound grill tanks, and even if they're not full, you can have those topped off. They don't have to be completely empty for you to fill those up, and that's something else that I wanted to mention. Another thing, a lot of the prepping channels are talking about medication right now, and doctors, and getting, having spare medication on hand. And I know it's the big thing in the YouTube channels to talk about, getting these like third-party medication groups, let's put it that way. And before you go ahead and spend the money on that, ask your doctor if they will just write you a prescription. Now, like for me, I get a couple of medications that I basically just pay cash for because the cash price isn't as high as you would think it would be. And it's a lot less hassle than going through the insurance. And if you pay cash for it, you can just get your refills. You don't have to, wait the period of time or whatever. And on those two medications, that's just what I do, because you know what? There are doctors out there that are preppers. And what's the worst they can tell you? They can tell you, no, I'm not going to do that. And you're really not out anything when you're there anyway. But, my doctors, two of them, they haven't said that they were preppers to me, but, preppers recognize preppers, and there's just different things that they've said to me over the years. And I've said, hey, I got this here. Will you write me an extra script for this? I'm just going to pay cash for it. And, instead of getting it for $4 or $10, whatever it is for the insurance, I might have to pay $20 or $25. Well, to me, that extra $20 maybe, that doesn't matter to have an extra 30 days worth of that medication on hand, or 90 days, whatever that it is. So ask, don't be afraid to ask. Like I said, you might find that that's actually a cheaper way to keep stuff on hand than it is, going through some third party, which can be quite expensive. Another thing I had some people ask me about is, what kind of carry ammo do I carry? Now, I carried a 45 ACP for literally years, because most of the time when I was carrying, I was doing something out in the woods and I wanted that larger bullet. But in the last few years here, I've switched to a Glock 19, which is 9mm, and I've started carrying that because they're just lighter, more compact, easier to shoot. I can, me and my wife are both CPL certified here in Michigan, so we got no problems, kind of interchanging our gear and stuff. And I've seen this so many times with people that hunt and people that have carry ammo. They'll dial in whatever it is, their hunting rig or their home defense rig or carry stuff. They'll dial that in with one type of ammunition. Then that ammunition becomes unavailable. So for me personally, I want stuff that's readily available. And what I started using in that Glock is 115 grain Winchester 9mm jacketed hollow points. Are these the best carry ammo? No. Is there better stuff out there? Yes. Is there higher end stuff? Yes. But this is readily available. I can walk in to pretty much any place around here and I can pick up a box of that on any given day. So that is the reason that I personally prefer this particular load. And, it runs. Is it the best? No, it's not the best, but I can get this stuff. This is the newer box. They always change the box colors around on you and make you think you're getting something different, but you're not really getting anything different. And just some things that I wanted to discuss here today. I'm actually going to switch my pack and my pickup out today to more my winter setup. Going to get my Swagman roll in my backpack, so I have that with me. I was actually fortunate enough with my new job. They actually gave me a whole bunch of brand new winter clothing, so I don't even have to wear my winter clothing anymore. I can keep my work stuff in my truck, so I don't even have to switch that out this year, so I got lucky there. And doing everything I can to make a little bit of money right now, because I'm thinking the economy is going to go soft next year with whatever is going on. And another thing, we're still waiting for something to take off in the Middle East. So gas prices are low now. I'm figuring they're going to be low until they're going to keep them artificially low until after the election, and then I'm expecting them to actually go up, even with the summer tour season going down and people traveling less after the holidays. I'm still expecting gas prices maybe to spike after the first of the year. So keeping that in mind, always keep your fuel squared away. Rec fuel is better to store than regular ethanol blends. Keep that in mind too. And if you got any two-stroke power equipment, keep that in mind too, because chainsaws, ATVs. My ATV here, I got that on the trickle charger as always, so I can maneuver around if it becomes more difficult to move around with a vehicle because there's any damage or other types of obstructions in movement. But want to do a little video with you guys here today over my coffee. I'm going to get out and about here and check a few things out and go through my pantry, make sure I don't have any deficiencies in there, and get that stuff stocked up. Sort of my weekly routine here. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys enjoyed this little visiting chat here this morning, talking about the same stuff that the old timers would talk about when they were out visiting with friends and neighbors, things that need to come back. Anyway, you have a good one.